close your eyes and imagine. The calendars show the 13th century. While the great powers of the world are in chaos and war, there is a city in the heart of the East, Baghdad. It is no ordinary city. It is the greatest work of the human race. The city where the foundations of science, literature, mathematics, and philosophy were laid. That magnificent city on the banks of the Tigris, dazzling with its light, but a city oblivious to what is coming. A great dust cloud appeared on the horizon. The rumor no one wanted to believe, the whisper that everyone was talking about, turned into a scream that shook the entire civilization. The Mongols are coming, and at their head is a ruler, Hulagu Khan. This name was more than just a ruler. This name was the embodiment of destruction, the architect of one of the greatest catastrophes in history. The fortresses of Baghdad were not only woven with stones. They were woven from 1,000 years of hope, faith, and the heart of wisdom. But when the Mongols reached the city gates, not a stone was left upon a stone, nor a head upon a shoulder. This was not a war as you understand it. This was the day humanity ended. This was that dark moment when the Tigris first ran red with blood, then pitch black with the ink of the libraries turned to ashes. Now, prepare to hear that scream. The last day of Baghdad begins. 2. The Grand Plan, a death warrant. Friends, first we need to know the man who committed this massacre. At the beginning of the events, on the throne of that immense Mongol empire sat Monk Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan. Monk Khan was a ruler who had conquered half the world, and now his eyes were on the riches of the Middle East. For this task, he assigned his most trusted, but also most merciless, man, his younger brother, Hulagu. Monk Khan wrote a letter to Hulagu, but this letter was the death warrant for 6 entire geographies. Think about it, with just one command, the Atabegs of Iran would be destroyed. The famous, mysterious, terrifying, and notoriously impregnable strongholds of the Hashishin cult, the assassins, would be razed to the ground. And at the very top of the list, the Abbasid Caliphate, that 1,000-year symbol of Islam, would be wiped off the map. Not enough. The Ayyubids and the Mamluks would be brought to their knees. This meant unleashing the bloodthirsty Mongol army upon 5 great states. Monk Khan had only one condition: do not touch the one who surrenders, but the one who resists. Do not leave them alive as a lesson to the world. This was literally an all-or-nothing game, and the Mongols had set out for the all option. 3. Hulagu's preparation and the Caliph's arrogance. What did Hulagu Khan do after receiving this order? He immediately began gathering his army. 1 out of every 2 men in the Mongol territories was drafted. And not just Mongols. Soldiers were also recruited for this campaign from Christian kingdoms, Georgians, and Armenians. Why? Because this campaign was also presented as an interfaith reckoning. Hulagu assembled a massive army of exactly 120,000 men. The first stop, the lair of those dreadful assassins, the Alamut fortress, the castle built on cliffs, which was called impossible to take. For the Mongols, there was no such thing as impossible. Explosives, ingenious siege techniques. Alamut fell. It was exactly at this moment that Hulagu Khan sent a letter to Baghdad, to Caliph Al-Musta'sim Billah, to that arrogant, naive caliph. The Mongol commander demanded his obedience. How? By sending troops. Musta'sim Billah, Musta'sim Billah. This man must have been one of the most arrogant and worst decision-makers in history. He thought it was a trick, a ploy to weaken Baghdad's defense. What did he send, do you think? Soldiers? No, chests full of gold. Hulagu Khan didn't want gold. He wanted the symbol of authority, military allegiance. He considered the caliph's act an insult. And then he took his demand one step further. You will tear down Baghdad's walls. You will come and pledge allegiance to me. The caliph refused this too. And this refusal enraged the Mongol commander. Hulagu's answer was written in blood in the pages of history. These words give us the impression of a threat that came from the gates of hell, rather than from a ruler. When I drive my army in fury to Baghdad, whether you are in heaven or on earth, I will cast you down. I will strike you like a lion in the air. I will not leave anyone alive in your kingdom. I will burn your city, your land, and you. This was the point of no return. War was inevitable for the year of fatal inaction. After taking Alamut Fortress, Hulagu Khan did something completely unexpected. The Mongol army was tired. Fighting in an unfamiliar geography had also exhausted them. But he made a completely unexpected decision. He rested his army in Hamadan for a full year. Historians talk about specific reasons for this pause. The army needed to gather strength, Chinese and Persian engineers needed to prepare new siege weapons, and winter conditions had to be avoided. But whatever the reasons, this was a great opportunity for Baghdad. Musta'sim Billah should have used this opportunity very well. 1 year, imagine, one of the cruelest armies the world has ever seen stops its march towards your border. And you are the Caliph of the great Abbasids. What needed to be done in this year? The walls should have been repaired. The bridges over the Tigris should have been strengthened. The city's food stores should have been filled to the brim. At least 50 to 60,000 soldiers should have been assembled. Diplomatic support should have been secured. Historians clearly write that Baghdad still possessed considerable wealth, a large population, and military potential during this period. So, if the Caliph had truly wanted to, Hulagu could not have easily breached the walls of Baghdad. But what happened? Nothing. Literally nothing. Musta'sim Billah had fallen into history's most dangerous delusion. Historical sources say that the Caliph had a strange belief. The Caliph believed that if the Mongols attacked Baghdad, God would miraculously destroy them. Even though the ulama and mullahs around him warned him, he still insisted, the Mongols are infidels. If they lay a hand on Baghdad, God will destroy them. This blind faith within the palace replaced rational military preparation. Baghdad's defense plan was now not to fight, but to pray. The cry that found silence. The only thing he did was a call to jihad. Musta'sim sent envoys to Egypt, to Syria, to the Anatolian Beyliks, even to distant Khorasan. Letters were sent to everyone. The Mongols will attack the heart of Islam. The time for jihad has come. The result? Absolute nothingness. The Anatolian Seljuks were dealing with their internal chaos. The Ayyubids were fighting amongst themselves. The Mamluks, while preparing for a great confrontation with the Mongols, did not have the power to help Baghdad. The Caliph's call for jihad returned from the entire Islamic geography only as a desolate silence of the wind. Baghdad was left to its fate, its walls weak, its soldiers scattered, its depots empty, and at its head, a leader waiting for help from the heavens. Historians summarize this period as follows. Baghdad was left in Hulagu's path without making any preparations to stop the Mongol invasion. And when the great Mongol army, which had waited in Hamadan for a year, started moving again like an iron flood, what happened was now inevitable. 6. The siege and the final slaughter. When the calendars showed January 22nd, 1258, dark clouds hovered over Baghdad. Hulagu Khan's 120,000-strong killer army stood directly in front of the Baghdad fortress. Faced with this sight, the state officials and commanders around Caliph Musta'sim all spoke the same sentence. Flee, my Caliph, flee while there is time. But the Caliph, he believed that the Abbasid lineage was inviolable. Caliph Musta'sim did not leave Baghdad. Soon after, the siege began. The Mongol units deployed their giant catapults, siege towers, and archers. This was the moment when Hulagu Khan would take centuries of revenge on the Abbasid Caliphate. The siege lasted 7 days. Every stone that fell on the walls of Baghdad tore away another brick of an age-old civilization. And on February 7th, 1258, a massive breach was opened in the northeastern part of the walls. First, Mongol elite units entered through the gap, followed by wave after wave of other soldiers. The Abbasid guards were forced to retreat into the city, covered in blood. The city was overflowing. Hundreds of thousands of people had fled the Mongol terror and taken refuge in the sacred safety of Baghdad. When the walls fell, that miracle turned into a nightmare that even history books struggle to describe. In the streets of Baghdad, the civilian population joined the resistance along with the soldiers. But this resistance very soon turned into a mass annihilation. When the Mongol army fully entered the city, the darkest scene of Abbasid history began. Those sentences told throughout the centuries still send shivers down one's spine today. It was impossible to walk in the streets because the corpses were piled up. The rivers carried blood for days without stopping. Children were killed in their mother's womb. The Mongols targeted not only the warriors but everyone. The elderly, children, pregnant women, clerics, scribes, merchants. It did not matter who was who. This was not just a city massacre, it was the death warrant of civilization. 7. The Caliph's capture and the execution. Meanwhile, Caliph Al-Musta'sim was hiding in the depths of his palace. As the sound of the massacre spread, the people cried out, "Surrender, my Caliph! Maybe then they will stop." The Caliph finally decided to surrender. That great delusion became the last breath of the Abbasid Caliphate. The Caliph was taken prisoner. Hulagu Khan addressed the Caliph one last time. "Command it! Let everyone in the city lay down their arms." The Caliph did as Hulagu wished. Mongol heralds walking the streets of Baghdad spoke to the Abbasid people. "The Caliph has surrendered. Lay down your weapons. You will not be harmed." The people obeyed this call. But the Mongols did not stop. The massacre continued even after the Caliph's surrender. While the city was being destroyed, Caliph Musta'sim Billah was brought in chains to Hulagu's tent. Hulagu Khan had only one question on his mind. Where is the famous treasure the Caliph is hiding? The Caliph did not speak at first, but the Mongol interrogations were filled with torture. Sources recount that the Caliph was kept sleepless for days, starved, bound in chains, and dragged. Finally, Musta'sim gave up and tearfully revealed the location of the treasure. When the Mongols entered the vault, they were astonished by what they saw. Most historians say the gold the Caliph hid was piled up like mountains. Sources say Hulagu was enraged when he saw the treasure and addressed the Caliph. "If you had hired soldiers with this gold, perhaps your city would not have fallen. What good is it now?" These words were the moment Musta'sim's fate was sealed. But the Mongols had a deeply rooted superstition. If the blood of a noble person is spilled onto the earth, misfortune will follow. Therefore, they prepared a cruel execution for the Caliph, without spilling his blood. They wrapped the Caliph in a thick carpet, consistent with the tradition of killing without shedding blood. The goal was clear. The blood would not come out, but the bones would be broken one by one. After wrapping the Caliph in the carpet, the Mongol commander shouted an order, "Ride horses over him!" The horsemen headed one by one onto the carpet in waves. With every strike of the horseshoe, a muffled groan came from inside. Hundreds of Mongol horsemen rode over that package until the carpet was completely motionless. Thus, the last caliph of the 508-year-old Abbasid Caliphate was crushed under the horse's hooves inside a carpet. This death was not just an execution. It was the closing of an era, the greatest breaking point of the Islamic world. The caliph's end was recorded in history as the ruler who was killed without shedding his blood, and the tragic last breath of an empire. 8. A week of blood, a week of ink. Friends, the real major disaster came after the massacre. Baghdad was a gigantic repository of science and culture. Hundreds of years of historical buildings were razed. And worst of all, the Library of Baghdad. The Mongols looted this library. They took those priceless books and threw them into the river, into the Tigris River. It is rumored that the Tigris River ran deep red for a week after this siege, solely because of the blood of the slaughtered people. And the following week, the river ran pitch black due to the ink leaking from the millions of books thrown into it. Historians do not know the exact number of people who died in Baghdad. The figures range from 800,000 to 2 million. But whatever the number, this was the greatest catastrophe the Islamic world had ever seen. The light went out, the golden age ended, and the world plunged into a darkness that would last for decades. That was it, friends. The story of Baghdad, which was destroyed in the Mongol siege and could not rise from its ashes. This story shows us what a great disaster arrogance and unpreparedness can bring. 1 week of blood, 1 week of ink. So, what do you think was Caliph Musta'sim's biggest mistake? Relying on his prayers or valuing his treasure over his army? Let's meet in the comments. See you in the next historical nightmare. Take care.